Everybody, it's Jason Creel and you're watching The Lawn Care Life. Today I'm going to talk about Bermuda grass, and I'm going to talk about everything from mowing to watering to weed control to fertilization. I'm going to get you caught up on what you need to know about how to care for a Bermuda grass lawn. Let's get started right now. Alright, so you want to learn about Bermuda grass. I think you've come to the right place. I'm going to give you a lot of information in this video and a lot of tips and talk to you about what I do to Bermuda grass lawns. I live in a place where I do weed control and fertilization for a business, and I have people that drive by my house and compliment me on my yard. Now I'm going to show you my yard. I'm going to talk to you what's going right, what's going wrong. But I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing and why I think my Bermuda yard looks better than even a lot of my customers, where I'm basically doing very similar things than they are, but you know, a few little differences. So let's take a look at the grass, and then let's get started with the tips and how we can help you have a better looking Bermuda lawn. All right, so this is my Bermuda grass, and you know, you got shadows and things like that, and this is in April, so it's actually a pretty good color for April. Now there's some areas that I've got bare spots and stuff. I had some construction done on my house, and they put a septic tank in, and this was all plugged. I didn't seed it or sod it, just plugged it about a year and a half ago, and it really filled in, except for a few bare spots that should fill in hopefully this year. But why is my yard green? Like even in March, my yard was really green. I had a customer who knows where I live, and he said, "Your yard looks better than mine. Why is that?" And I said, well, one of the things, and I'm going to get started with kind of a recommended mowing pattern and how I mow Bermuda grass. When I mow Bermuda, and I told him this, I said, listen, I cut my yard in March, and I live in Alabama, so you may have to change your time frame. I know some of you live down south may mow year round, you know, but I said I cut it in March, and what that does is help, you know, get rid of some of that dormant grass and allow the sunlight to get down there and start warming the soil up. And that's why my yard's greener than yours. Now, the downside of that was we got a late frost. My yard had greened up with all this new green tissue. We get that late frost, and I had basically a yellow yard from frost damage. But it bounced back pretty quickly, and now it's green again. I mean, yeah, I fertilize and things like that, but oftentimes the yard that's greenest early in the year is the one who cut it earlier. If you wait until, you know, if your neighbors are all mowing their grass and you don't mow your grass, there's a really good chance, if it's a Bermuda yard, that theirs is going to be greener than yours, regardless of whether you put fertilizer on it or not. It has more to do with letting the sunlight get down there and warm those roots. So my typical mowing schedule and how I like to mow Bermuda grass is this. If I get to the end of I'm gonna start with the last cut of the year. So for us, where I live, let's say it's late October, early November, and your grass has gotten nice and thick. It's been a great year, but you're tired of mowing grass. And so on that last cut of the year, I like to take it down a little bit lower. Now that does a couple of things. One, when you take it down lower, you kind of maybe stun it a little bit, and again, just go ahead and send it a message to your lawn that you're tired of mowing grass for this year, and go ahead and go into dormancy and quit growing, okay? Because you stressed it out a little bit, mowing it a little bit lower. The other thing it does is the following spring, when you get ready to cut your grass in March to help it green up faster, there's not quite as much dormant Bermuda that you have to get rid of, okay? So do you have to bag? Well, of course you don't have to bag, but if you were gonna bag, that first cut of the year would be a good one to do it, where you can get rid of all that dormant Bermuda. And it may be a lot of bags if you let your grass get up 3-4 inches tall and you're trying to get it back down. So I'm cutting mine at 1.5 inches, okay? So I'm cutting, maybe if I'm not able to keep my mowing frequency up during the summer, and maybe it's gotten up to 2 or 3 inches by the fall, but on that last cut, let's say I get it down to 2 inches, and then on the first cut of the spring, boom, back to 1.5 inches. And I'm gonna try to maintain it 1.5 inches best I can. Now, keeping it that short can be a challenge in the summer months when it really starts growing fast, unless you're gonna mow it every 4 or 5 days, or do what I do. I spray growth regulator on mine, a product called Podium. And I'm gonna mention products and things like that. I'll put links in the description. You can check those out. So podium's a growth regulator. It basically keeps the grass from growing as fast vertically and allows me to keep it 1.5 inches without mowing it quite as often, and it's a great product. Now, can you mow Bermuda grass taller than 1.5 inches? Of course you can. Can you mow it shorter? Yeah, you can reel mow it. You know, it's used for putting greens on golf courses, and I mean, they bale it for hay for horses. I mean, so you can grow it all different lengths. I just find that people that mow it more often and lower and tighter, to me, it just gives it a better look. It helps choke out weeds. Now, if you're concerned about you know, maybe having it short in the winter could make it more susceptible to winter damage, things like that. You know, I'm not saying that it's all advantages. If it's going through a serious drought and you don't have a way to water, and you don't water your grass very often, then you might consider letting it stay a little longer. And if you're not mowing it frequently enough, say you only want to mow your grass every 2 weeks and you want to keep it 1.5 inches, it's probably going to grow so fast that when you cut it, you're going to stress the grass out. So you don't want to take off more than 1/3 of the blade of grass when you're mowing. So you need to up your frequency or slowly begin to raise your cutting height as the summer goes along. What about watering the grass? Now, we recommend to customers, I have this conversation a lot with my customers that have irrigation. I say, listen, if you'll just wait till May before you even turn your irrigation on. Again, I'm in Birmingham, Alabama market, so just adjust this accordingly for wherever you live. And then just water it once a week and soak it really good, 30, 40 minutes per zone, as opposed to 10 minutes per zone 6 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever people normally do. Now, why is that? Well, watering more often is going to make it more susceptible to have fungus and weed problems, like weeds like nut sedge and things like that. They love wet areas, so if you're constantly keeping it wet, and if you're watering at night and letting that water sit on there, it's going to be a problem, definite chances of having a fungus like dollar spot by watering it regularly and consistently at night and letting that water sit on there over the night. So you want to set it like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning so that it can soak in before you get that hot sun, but it's not on there so long that it's just going to start causing problems. Watering less often but for longer, it can help that water get down deeper to the roots and give you more lasting beneficial effects from the water. So I'm not exactly telling you to use more water or less water. I'm just saying take the water you're already using and put it 1 day a week instead of multiple days a week. All right, let's talk about the products you're going to be using on the lawn, or what I use when I take care of Bermuda grass lawns. So this is Resolute, and I spray this out of, the video sponsored by Graham. This is my big Graham spray tank here. You can get this if you don't have a big spray tank. You can get it in a granular form, like it may say like a 007 with prodiamine. So you see their active ingredient, prodiamine. But prodiamine is the pre-emergent herbicide that we put out early in the year before the crabgrass germinates. So again, in Birmingham, Alabama market, that's typically January or February, and it's better to be early than late. You don't want to put it out mid-March here, and if the crabgrass is already germinated, then this is not going to help you nearly as much. So make sure you get this out early in the year, and I'm typically going to mix that with some kind of 3-way herbicide. The one I'm using a lot of times with it is triplet, and you put those two together, and this is going to help with a lot of the summer weeds like crabgrass, preventing those from being seen in the yard. And then the 3-way product, it can help knock out any cool season weeds that are still hanging around, or maybe any warm season weeds that's already germinated. So I do like split applications on this around 1 in January or February, and then come back again and do another round like late February into March. So that's what I do for my customers. And then you get on into April and it's time to start fertilizing. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but let me finish talking about the products that we use to spray the weeds. So once you get that done, that's going to keep, if I was only going to do one thing to the yard the whole year, I'd spray prodiamine. I mean, it makes a huge difference on your Bermuda grass yards. But let's just say you end up in the summertime and you start seeing things like nut sedge and different weeds like that. If that's the situation, oftentimes I'll mix these two products together. This is Celsius and Certainty. So Celsius and Certainty both have some effectiveness on grassy weeds, and they also can work on broadleaf weeds, and Certainty and even Celsius to some degree work on sedges. So it's a great combination that you can use for warm season grasses that will knock out a wide range of weeds, and we combine these together and spray spot treat weeds during the summer. Now that's not the only products you use. I use Blindside, I use Change Up. I mean, there's a lot of products depending on the situation, but this, if you were going to just simplify things, using these two products mixed together can make you very effective on controlling just about any weed you're going to see in your Bermuda grass lawn. Not all of them, but very much most of them. And again, this is not something I'm going to mix these together and go spray the entire yard. It shouldn't be necessary if you put your pre-emergent out in a timely manner, and you're just mostly using this for spot treating weeds. Then as I move over, then as I get into the fall, before the cool weather starts hitting, that's when I come in and I use Spectacle Flow and put Simazine in there with it. And I'm trying to knock out those cool season weeds like Poanua and other, you know, you get henbit and all kind of cool season weeds that you'll see in the lawn. So you try to prevent most of those with that fall application. I have people say, hey, Jason, can you help me? I've got this weed that gets the stickers in our feet. You know, it's a burr weed. Well, it's helpful to prevent that in the fall with your fall pre and post emergent application. So Spectacle and Simazine make a great combination for that, and you can put something like Metsulfuron in there with it, or 2,4-D, or the triplet product I mentioned to help you knock out some of your broadleaf weeds. And then we use lime in the wintertime. Our soil around here is acidic, so adding that lime can really help out. Jason, what about fertilizing? And I have customers, and some of them want it green all the time, or the earliest one to be green. Again, a lot of it has to do with, did you mow it early, and what the weather doing. But just to show you the fertilizer products that we use, this is Harold's, and that's who I buy my weed control products from, and also my fertilizer. You can see here, this is a Harold's 20-3-5 blend, and this is what I put out starting in April, going into mid-May for my customers. So this is the initial fertilizer application. It's a quick release fertilizer. It gives us some nitrogen, and if we get some warm weather, it can really help to green up the lawn. Then I come back with the second round of fertilizer. I use this. You see, it's a 3806 blend from Harold's, and it has a lot of slow release fertilizer in the mix. So I'm using this, is going to last for about 4 months. So, you know, when I put that out, that gets it going, gets it green, then come back and put this out, and that should keep it green pretty much for the rest of the growing season. Now you can put more out if you want it more green and last longer, or you can put less out if you don't want to have to mow as often. I'm typically putting about 2.2 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet on the lawn of this particular product. As I get later in the summer, I may back that off to like 2 pounds of nitrogen. And how much nitrogen is in a bag of fertilizer? I've talked about this before, but you see this is 3806 right here. You take that first number, that's your nitrogen. This bag is 50 pounds, it has 38% nitrogen. If you divide that first number by 2, it gives you 19. That means there's 19 pounds of nitrogen in this bag. So if you want to put 1.9 pounds of nitrogen per every 1,000 square feet, then this bag would cover 10,000 square feet, okay? Well, let's say you want to put 2 pounds of nitrogen per every 1,000 square feet. Then you need to, you know, drop it down to like 9,500 square feet or so. And 2.2, you know, maybe down around 9,000. I don't have the math done for you right now. But anyway, that first number is the percentage of nitrogen in the bag. So it's 38% nitrogen. A 50-pound bag divided by 2 is 19 pounds of nitrogen in this bag. So you can do the math and figure out how much to get of whatever type of fertilizer you have to make it more effective. Now the good thing about this slow release is it feeds the lawn at a rate that the grass can actually use the product. If you put, you know, let's just say I want mine super green, so I've just got some cheap fast release and I'm gonna put 6 pounds on the lawn. Well, it's way more than the grass needs and way more than it can use. So a lot of those nutrients is gonna get wasted on that lawn, and the color is gonna still fade out. So that's what's great about this particular product. That's a lot of information. I realize that. You may hopefully learn something. You can ask questions below, leave a comment below, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want. more information. There's hundreds of videos on here, and I plan to do a lot more. We go live on Monday nights on my channel where we take questions, so if you want to do that, that's a great idea. If you're in the lawn business or thinking about getting into it, there are resources at lawncarelife.com to help you learn how to get started in weed control and fertilization, from programs to pricing to how to grow a business, or for mowing as well. So there's lots of things over there that are available to you. I hope, hopefully you learned something, and I do appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.